Okay. All right.
About it.
The first most important tip that you remind us to clean the lens.
The lens,
So
yes.
how do you do it? Like this?
Yeah, yeah, something like that. I mean, make sure obviously you don't do this on zippers, obvious, because sometimes, I've seen that happening. So, yeah, it can be a t-shirt, whatever you have, and just clean it. Those lenses usually they're not a normal glass, so it doesn't get scratched often, unless you really, like I said, you do push really hard on the zipper or something, then it scratches, but it shouldn't. So, but yeah, first thing I would say, check the lens. If it's clear and clean, for example, mine, I can see already there's a fingerprint. But sometimes because I'm used to usually to put a cover on the lenses, so it's a glass. It's not three glass, but it's just one. So it's easier to wipe. But sometimes based on the covers doesn't fit, so I have to take it off. So when I take that off and there's three, sometimes I take a picture like, and then the first thing I look at the lens and you know, 99% is dirty. So this is the first, like I believe, number one clarity of a picture doesn't come up because lenses are dirty.
All right. Well, that's pretty easy to make, right?
What's that?
That's pretty easy.
Absolutely, they're all easy. Everything is easy. It's not complicated. Because lenses on cell phones usually they do pretty much everything automatically. So, but you have to make sure that you don't open camera and take a picture right away because the camera needs to set like between the focus and exposure. Like it takes like a second, a couple seconds before the camera like realize where to focus and if it needs to be brighter or darker. So number two. Then I would say number three, if there is not enough lighting. So I don't know how much you guys are familiar with cameras, meaning like the shutter and how everything works. So basically, the exposure it usually works with the shutter. The shutter is something that it's like when you guys see something moving and there's not enough light, so you take a picture and you see the blur, like there is moving, meaning the shutter, there's the one that takes the picture. Sometimes when there's not enough light, it's open and slow. So I'm sure sometimes you guys, when you do pictures at night, when there's not enough light, the phone pops and say that you gotta be steady when you're taking a picture. I don't know if it happens to you guys sometimes. Okay, so what happened is if it doesn't show that, but still there's not enough light, the shutter is the one that basically captured the picture. So when there's a lot of light, it's very quick. So everything is in focus. When there's not enough light, it gets slower to let the light come in and then capture the picture. So because it takes less time to take a picture or longer time to take a picture, there's a difference between is in focus and is out of focus. So there's not enough light, it takes longer to take the picture. And so if there's a subject moving, that means it's exposed, it's taking a picture of all the move. And then when you actually stop the picture, then you see the blur, like somebody that moves. And then you see the head, you see that from here to here. And that's because it's the shutter. So, but when you do daytime, and that's not problem of a shutter because it's very fast. So when you take a picture, it's instant. So this is another thing. And then as far as like composition, usually I take pictures horizontally and not vertical. Because when you shoot it vertically, you don't have enough information. Let's say if you want to do a face picture and then you do vertical, then you have a lot of space top and bottom, and the face is like small. right? Because you got to try to do those things. So, but if you do horizontally, like you take a picture, you have more space, left and right, depends where you want. If you want to have a picture that you have a skyscrapers, you want to take a picture of it, then you do vertical because they fit in the picture. But if you want people, let's say if I'm taking a picture of you guys, all three, if I take a picture of vertically, then I gotta go back to fit all three because the picture, the image frame is vertical. But if I do horizontal, I can come closer because you fit in the horizontal picture, if that makes sense. And then also sometimes another thing just to play with the font, because a lot of people have font, but they don't play enough to understand. So sometimes you can take a picture, like let's say I take a picture, I don't have much time, right? So I take a picture a little like fast. I don't have to compose the picture, composition, because you don't have much time about to do that. So you take a picture, but then later, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
So if I open the picture later on, let's say you didn't have time, and so you take a picture like that. I don't know if you see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you take a picture like that, then later you can do reframing. So you can zoom, right? And then you fit
Oh,
the 3D.
interesting.
Yeah. You reframe the picture because you have all three, but you have a lot of space like that. Like you don't want to see all this, so you want to see the people in the picture. So you reframe your pictures, and then some pictures have crop, and then you crop it. But if you don't have that, then that's a picture that is better to have a picture like that than now you reframe the picture, which is now it's easier to see it and it's reframed better. Or you can do, if you don't have that, I can do, look, let me exit here and I'll do the revert. So it comes back to original. So I don't know if you don't have the option that says that, but you know how to take a picture of your screen, right? So you can reframe that and then you retake a picture.
Oh, okay.
And then you have your picture reframed. So, because sometimes, I don't know, you're in the car or you see some things nice, you don't have time to zoom, to frame, to do this. So sometimes I take several pictures, like 4 or 5, because sometimes on the movie, the car can be, like I said, the shot can be soft, out of focus. So I take several pictures. And then when I re-look at the pictures, I see the one that is like more like clear, less, move, or there's another car that drive by and you took a picture in that moment. So when you do that, then you reframe the picture of the background that you liked, like some imaginary nice, and then you reframe that and you take a picture or you crop it, and then you have your picture, nicer. So I usually, when I take a picture, I never take one picture. I usually do 5, 6, 7 times. So then you pick the one you like, and the other one you just toss it and delete it. It doesn't matter. So, or sometimes another things that I do, it depends on the situation. I take a video and I take a picture of the video. So it just depends on the situation that you're in to make all of these decisions, which if you start doing it, it becomes automatically, you just already know what to do. In the beginning, it might be like, oh, what do I have to do? This, and so it's just like everything else in life, is just practice. You just do it, and then you see the difference in the picture and you're like, oh, that's nice. And then you figure out your ways or your methods or whatever turn out nicer. I'm sure you'll remember that because it becomes like the brain clicks that way. If you like it and you remember, then automatically you will do it next time without even thinking about it.
So basically we searching for a right moment.
Right. And like I said, based on the moment, knowing these things, you will try different things. And then whatever later on, it will become like the easier way to remember do it. Obviously, everyone will do it differently. But there are always different ways to do it. Like I said, take a video, take several pictures, and and then you pick and choose, then you reframe it, and then you have a nice picture. Because sometimes hey, can you send me a picture? I don't know. My mom they're all in Italy. I'm the only one in the United States. So sometimes my mom take a picture, and I'm like, I have to do the reframe, because she's like, people are really far. I was like, and I start zooming in the pictures, like, who's this one? So, and I was like, hey, could send the picture. They're like, do you really took a picture when everyone is like this small? Like, either you go closer, kind of thing, or big phones have the zoom or the two different lenses. So it's nice to me if whoever likes pictures, it's nice to try things, see what is this for, and do like pictures that you don't need is just to understand the camera, how it works. And then once you start understanding the camera how it works, then it'll be quick and easy in the moment you need one. If that make a little sense. Because sometimes I say things like that I know it's like they're easy, but for someone it's like, am I gonna remember all these things?
No, no, no. It's all easy. It's all understandable. The only question I have, does it affect when you zoom in, right? You make it the certain image bigger. Does it affect the quality of the picture?
Yes, that's why either you use the different lenses, because now the reason why they added more lenses on phones is because people that zoom in lose the quality, obviously. So now what they did is you have a wide, you have a medium and a tight, or you have a wide and a tight. So it's better if you want something closer that you click on the camera that's tighter, but it's still not tight enough. It's better take a picture on the lens itself, like the natural lens, without zooming yourself, and then you zoom in on the picture after you took the picture. So you took a picture with the quality of the lens, so nothing get a little soft or lose the quality, because when you zoom in, you're already taking quality of the picture out of the frame. So if you leave that there, the picture is intact on the 24 megapixel, whatever camera has the quality, and then it's better to zoom in later on the picture taken. Does it make sense?
It is. Yeah.
Okay, so zoom in is never a good thing. It always, not only that, but it shows soft, and then you gotta really be steady. So the more you zoom, the steadier you have to be. Because the more you zoom, the more your hands are shaking. And so if you take a picture, it's just blurred, automatically, because you can't be that steady. But if you take a picture on that, not like the natural lens that they come from, even if it's a little telephoto lens, it's better zooming later because you have all the quality that comes from the camera.
So what about light? What do we have to consider when we're taking pictures, right? What do we have to remember about light?
Okay, the light is, in the picture when you open, you always have, I don't know what kind of, phone everyone has, but let's say I don't see any image right now. Okay,
We see everything.
Okay, so obviously if you click, it gives you an automatic,
Light.
exposure, but then you have this little square, and on the side you see the little brightness, icon thing. So if you want something darker, let's say because the sun is, or let's see if I can see on the other side, there's a window. Okay, so let's say here, you see it?
Yeah, we see it. Yeah.
Okay, so if I want, see, you see the outside and the inside. So if you wanted more exposure on the outside, obviously you click on the outside because he also does a focus where the little sun is, then you gotta go down until it start going darker. And then you take your picture based on the lighting you want. Let's say you want a silhouette of somebody, right? So if you want a silhouette of somebody, let's say, I don't know, you want to get creative, right? So let me see if I can put something. All right, let's see if this will work. Okay, I'm gonna open in the window. All right, let me see here. Can you see it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so there is that little camera outside, like here, right? So if I use a different lens, right, and I go closer, so if I want to expose for the camera, I click on the camera and then I go brighter. So if I go brighter, obviously the window is gonna overexpose. But if you want this camera to come like kind of silhouette, then you go darker and you expose for the outside. So you keep going darker and darker. Let me go here. I'll show you darker and darker. And then you take a picture and then I'll show you the picture. Okay, if I show you the picture here, now you'll see that the outside is exposed well,
Yeah.
and the camera that is here, it gets the little light coming in, but it's black silhouette. So if you want to do something like a nice picture silhouette of somebody, like a face on in the back, there's a sunset or something, you expose for the sunset and the subject turns dark. But if you expose for the person, the back is sunset, you lose it because it's completely overexposed. Or you go in between of the two, which usually some phones have it's called HDR. So it's something that they balance between the background and the foreground as far as lighting. Or you do the little color correction. Right? So if you shot a picture like that and you want to see a little more on the inside, so obviously you click on the color correction here, and then you go on the blacks, right? Because all those dark are the black, right? So you go, hold on, let me move here to, because I touched this one. Let me make that 0 again. I move the highlights. So you go on the shadows. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah, we can see.
So you go on the shadows, and when you open the shadows more, you only see the dark side. I don't know if you can see it. Hold on. Okay, so let me do okay, done. And then when you look at this and you zoom in, you have more information on the dark. Before it was completely, see, I couldn't even read the clock. I don't know if you guys can see it a little bit.
Oh, yeah, now we can see the clock.
Yeah, before you can see it. And it's the same thing. If you want to go even brighter, then because the phone remember your corrections, right? So if you go back on that, it's not going to give you more because you already did all the way. So in theory, the way you should do it is you take a picture of the screen. I know it's a lot of things, but sometimes you save a picture that you took and you like it. So let me see. You take a picture of this, and then obviously you open that, and then you go again on the color correction, and then it put everything back to normal to 0, and then you go again on shadows, and then you open up all the way and do okay. And now, obviously, all of I don't know if you can see it now.
Yeah.
You see a lot more on the dark side. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah. which
on
is
the camera, now you have a lot more information on the shadow side. Look at the watch
yeah.
clock. You can see you see it more on the dark shadow on the dark side of the picture. So sometimes I have a lot of people that sometimes take a picture, you know, to the ocean, and then there's a sunset behind. I was like, whoa, you know, I'm too dark. It's like, can you do the color correction? So I gotta, you know, I was like, yeah, I mean, it's easy. So I just go up with the shadows because the shadows are dark because the exposure is for the back. So you go up with the shadows, and then all the shadows go, you know, you can start seeing things. And then obviously you do the adjustments the way you like. Because the more shadows you go up, then the more it can become gray and not good. So you just have to play with it, and then I'm sure, like I said, who likes photography and how the cameras work, especially phones, like cameras are nice. Now rarely you see someone with the camera taking pictures. They all do with the phones, which is they take really nice pictures. But sometimes it feels like, oh, you know, I ruined the picture, but you can save the picture with the correction.
So
If they don't, it's a
you
lot of information.
oh, it's very good information though. It's very good. It doesn't seem difficult. Like working with technical stuff, you just need to know where to go, what to do. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to, like I said, you look at your camera, open the camera, and then click on your lenses, whatever you know is given to you. And then based on that, sometimes when you take a picture, just try. Push on the tighter camera, tighter lens, see what it looks like. Like I said, sometimes if you see that the wide, the is kind of too wide and the tight is too tight, it's better to have too wide and then you reframe your picture than too tight and you have people missing.
Yeah.
So you just have to make those decisions, right? At the moment you take a picture, like, no, I wanna. If I do tighter lens, I have two people that they don't fit in the frame. So obviously, if you're space, you walk backwards, and then you use that lens to fit the two people on the side. But if you don't, then you go wider. Maybe you go closer, take a picture, and then later you can reframe it. But if you start zooming in, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't come out well. So it's always better to use the lens that you have and then reframe later after you took the picture. Is more clear for sure.
Well, we just have to practice, huh?
Exactly. I mean, I was gonna say, I hope if you guys practice to let me know how it goes and how it feels and how it looks after you did that. And if it was, you know, useful and you remember certain things, you know, you can just let me know. You know, I'm fine, I'm good.
All right. Well, that was very good information. Thank you so much. I have a question. What kind of movie are you working on right now?
I just go right now on and off. I did the All American show, and I was a friend of mine called me to replace the DP was kind of sick, so I did For All Mankind, the season 3 that is right now shooting. Um, yeah, I have a movie that should go in Atlanta, which is a very good story. It's very original, sweet story. Basically, it's an elderly woman that lose their husband and try the dating site. It's a very very sweet story. Very cute. It's
Do you
called
know the name?
It's called Three Times a Lady, like the song.
Okay. Huh. We're gonna watch it, huh?
Uh, there's I think maybe there's probably like Bill Pullman. There's good actors, Martin Sheen, and so in theory we should be start principal photography in November. So I'll be there for I don't know 8 weeks, and then it'll come up next year.
That's impressive.
That's
Well,
yeah.
thank you so much for your time.
Oh,
Thank you,
absolutely.
Maximiliano.
Anytime,
Okay.
just let me know.
Okay. Can we have like a picture? I want to do print screen. If you can move. I want to do green screen for
Oh,
our.
nice.
So you would see how many people we have. Okay, should we take our, everybody's wearing glasses?
Well, as long as you don't have the reflection of the computer, you're fine. See your eyes.
Okay, let me see it. Let me see if I can do it. Where's the
I'll put
rest?
glasses.
Yeah.
I'll do that too.
And then let me go, guys, when you start taking pictures, how it works.
Okay.
There you go. Now you take a picture, you reframe the picture. You do the color correction, then you're good.
So, I'll do everything what you said. Okay, I like
Nice.
this one. Let me see. Yeah, I like this one. All right, well, thank you so much
Thank you.
for your time. We really
Of
enjoyed
course.
that.
Thank you. Sorry again for being late.
No, we will let you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Mhm.